I'm sorry for what I've done 100%. For the first 2 weeks, honestly, I couldn't leave the house. I was so sorry for what I'd done because I know I shouldn't have done it. I know I shouldn't have said it. Initially it was one email from one agent. It started 2 or 3 weeks previous to that. An agent put in a player based in France. My scouts in France watched the player 2 or 3 times and basically said he wasn't good enough, he won't improve us, and he said for the money that they want he's not worth it. That was fine by me. I trusted the guy. He's a really good scout. On the 27th I got another email from the agent, saying there's a deal to be done, we can get him for this, get him for that. I went back and I said we don't want any more Africans and the player isn't good enough. My scout has said the player isn't good enough. Hold my hands up, I was totally wrong. I shouldn't have said it. But I do think it was taken completely out of context. It was never ever meant to be racist in any way. The reason we said we didn't want any more Africans was because we already had 3. The day before we had 4, but one of them left and I just felt, as head of recruitment, I look ahead down the line and I thought in 12 months' time it's the African Nations Cup. If we have 4 African players come the next African Nations Cup, we're going to lose them in January and February, and we could struggle with that. Any team struggles when they lose 4 players. And I just felt that it would have been too many for us. But also as well, with just brought a new manager in, we weren't in a good position in the league when he came in and we needed to get some points. We needed to get some wins, and the Premier League is tough. It's a tough league. New players coming in have to hit the ground running. What we said is we would have preferred, if possible, if we can get them, Premier League-based players, who could come in and get straight into it. I would look anywhere for players. If you look at my record at West Ham over the 3.5 years I'd been there and the players that I've been responsible for bringing in, I brought a lot of good players into West Ham, including a lot of players of African descent. What about when you subsequently told a journalist at the Daily Mail that African players have a bad attitude and cause mayhem when they're not in the team? People looking at that would think that sounds racist. He phoned me mid-afternoon and he basically said I'm in possession of an email that I've been given, and he was suggesting that I was being discriminatory against African players. I was absolutely flabbergasted. I didn't know what to say. I just said, "What are you talking about?" I didn't know what to say. And he said, "You've said that you don't want any more African players at the club, and that was wrong." I got sucked into his conversation. Really, I should have just put the phone down. But I got sucked into his conversation and it got a bit heated, and he then started saying things about players at the club. And I just said, "Look, we've got one player who does cause problems." I said he causes problems, he has off-the-field problems, and I said his attitude isn't the best. But that could be any player, that could be any nationality. It just so happens that it's this player. But it was never meant to be having a go at any race or any nationality. On a personal note, I've had some problems at home. My son and daughter-in-law had a baby born premature, very premature, 26 weeks, 2 pounds 5 ounces. It was a really worrying time. It was a really bad time for me, but also with everyone going on in the window, the deadline day, it was a really bad time for me. If I'd have been in a normal job I'd have probably had a couple of weeks off, but in football you can't do that, and I understand that. I live and breathe football and I would never have done that. Have you spoken to any African players you've signed in the past? Have they been in touch with you? I've had messages from 3 or 4 of the players. To be honest, I've had messages from a lot of people in the game and a lot of African descent, and basically saying we're right behind you, mate. They know I'm not a racist. And I know that's me just saying that, but what I said was wrong. I'm not trying to get out of this article. Let's be honest, I've been sacked by West Ham and I've been at home for 3 months. I don't know what it's going to be like to get back into work, but I'm not racist in any shape or form.